Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Tuesday morning programming right here on American Muslim 360. My name is William Kareem and today's topic is the stories of the lives of the prophets by Ibn Kathir. Yes, that's the name of the book. The stories of the lives of the prophets by Ibn Kathir. And if you want some in-depth information about the prophets of Islam, please be recommended to get that book. It is a very well-established book by a scholar that wrote the book in the 1300s. And it covers all the prophets from Adam to Muhammad. Yes, yes. Adam is considered a prophet. Some people don't consider him a prophet. But so I think the question should be asked, well, what is a prophet? Well, a prophet is one who brings an important message. And Adam had the responsibility of being the first prophet because he had to bring the message to the first people that was on the planet, as it's told. Because remember, uh, the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims believe that Adam was the first man. Adam and Eve, Adam and Hawa were the first people. Okay, there's no question about that as far as the Abrahamic religions are concerned. So, why does Islam consider uh, um, Adam a prophet? Well, because he brought a message. Who did he bring the message to? He brought the message to his family. And then after he brought the message to them, and then what he did is he gave his sons the responsibility of carrying the message on. And that's why his son Seth winded up being the one who took on the responsibility, and then Enoch took on the responsibility, and then it went, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so who did he give the message to? He gave the message to his family. And who was his family? Well, you know some of them. You know Cain, you know Abel, and they were sisters. Cain had a twin sister. Abel had a twin sister. Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, yeah. That's what the book, the stories of the lives of the prophets, tell us, and that's how the family continued to grow because of that. Okay, that's how that happened. We're not going to go into that. We did that when we went over the prophet Adam. We talked about that, but I just want you to know that Adam is considered a prophet because he took the responsibility to deliver the message, and the message was what he learned and what was inspired in him, that you should serve God and shun the devil. Serve God and don't do evil. Serve God because that's where the blessings are. And if you serve God and you look for him for the blessings, then you will have a mighty be a mighty victor against Satan and his compatriots, Satan and his influences, Satan and his whisperers. If you serve God and listen to God, you will do that. So that's what the responsibility of Adam. That's what Adam learned. That's what Adam learned as far as that's what's concerned. We could go into it a little further, but I just want you to know that that's why Islam considers Adam a prophet because he had the responsibility to deliver that message of serving God and shunning the devil to his family. And and then the other part that he found out, which I think is important, is the whole idea about Cain and Abel. Remember, they mentioned the story of Cain and Abel because there is an important and powerful message there, and that was that even though this was Adam's children, he didn't have the power to make them worship and give praise and glorification to the one who created them. He didn't have power. They had to do that on their own. So that's what he came to understand, that he couldn't stop his son Cain from killing his brother Eve, killing his brother Abel. He couldn't stop that because Cain made the decision that he was going to listen to the negativity of the devil. So, you know, Adam realized he didn't have power to do that. He could advise them, and all the rest of that. But he found out that it's not an automatic thing that when you become a human being, you automatically, serve God. And the devil has the capability of influencing. We call him devil. Some people call him devil. Call him a shaitan. The same thing. The same idea. The whisperer. So that's important. That's why he realized the message, because he didn't want the rest of his family to go through that thing that Cain and Abel went through. He didn't want them to go through that. So he continued to tell the rest of his family and to use Cain and Abel as examples. Well, this is what happened, and this is what will happen if you don't. That kind of thing. So now we are going to move on, because we're now at uh Prophet Abraham was six. So Ishak or no, Abraham was six. Prophet Ishmael was seven. So we're now at Prophet eight, which is Ishak in the Arabic language, or Isaac, which is the second son of Abraham. That was delivered by his wife, Sarah. Now, I've heard it. We talk about stories. You want to talk about stories? There are people who believe that Isaac was birthed to Hajar. I'm telling you what someone told me when I was in Mecca. And this person thought that they were uh, educating me about, Abraham and his sons. And I was like, no, it doesn't go like that. The prophet, it doesn't say that. Well, in the Quran, it doesn't mention who the mother is. It just says that, said to Abraham's wife, oh, I'm an old woman. How am I supposed to? So they're saying that Abraham was actually living with Hajar as opposed to living with Sarah. And so I asked them the basic question, because the story of Abraham, Sarah, and Hajar is very well known in Christian theology, in Jewish theology. It's well known. It's not talked about a lot, but it's not well known. And it's well known that the Jewish people say that Isaac was born from Sarah, and the Christian people say Isaac was born from Sarah. So, going on that basis, we have some idea of who Prophet Isaac or Ishak was born from. And it says Isaac, even though the Quran, but see, some people go, well, the Quran doesn't say that. And then they come up with their own idea as far as it's concerned. So, the other point that I want to make about that is this, is that the point is made in the Quran and in the stories of the lives of the prophet that Abraham took his handmaiden into the desert, and left her and her son there. Okay, that's what the stories of the lives of the prophet talk about. So there was a separation in the wife and the handmaiden. There was a separation that came. And Abraham left her in the desert with her son. He left and he went back to. So that was the question that I put forth to them. I said, why would he leave her in the desert? Where did he go back to? He went back to his wife, his first wife, because of the beef, the disagreement that Sarah had with her handmaiden. And then, Sarah having a handmaiden, it is said in um, Christian theology or Jewish theology that Abraham never married her, that he just went into her. But in Muslim theology, it says that he married Hajar. But whichever way it was, whether they were married or not, there was a disagreement between Hajar and Sarah because Hajar had the first son. The handmaiden had the first son. So the main wife, Sarah, she couldn't have children. So she allowed Abraham to go into her handmaiden in order for Abraham to produce a son. And so that's what happened. And I mean, it's an understandable story. The woman, felt that she had something over the other woman, and the other woman felt bad. Sarah felt bad because, as long as I've been married to you, and I can't have a child. And so then all of a sudden, the angel comes and says, "Listen, hey, God is going to bless you with a child." You say, "Well, how am I supposed to have a child when, I'm an old lady now?" Well, Allah just says be and it is. And so that's basically what happened. And so when Allah said be and it is, that's where we get the story of Ishak or Isaac. And so now we will continue. The Quran does not give details of Isaac's life, peace be upon him, but reliable Quranic commentators mention that when Abraham felt that his life was drawing to a close, he wished to see Isaac married. He did not want Isaac to marry one of the Canaanites who were pagans. So he sent a trustworthy servant to Haran in Iraq to choose a bride for Isaac. The servant's, the servant's choice fell upon Rebecca bin Bentul, who was the brother Ibn Nahor, who was a brother of Abraham. So it's spelled Rebekah, and it seems like it's pronounced Rebecca, but it might be Rabika, Rebekah, and then it says who was a brother of Abraham. So Isaac married her. The servant's choice fell upon Rebekah bint Bentul ibn Nahor, who was a brother of Abraham. Okay, so now I just want to explain. Rebekah bint Bethul, bint means the woman of Bethul, who was the mother, and then it says Ibn Nahor, which means is the son of Nahor. Okay, so Rebekah bint Bethul is the mother, and bint Nahor is the father, who was the brother of Abraham. Sister Martha, are you available? Okay, so Sister Martha, but I think that bint, B-I-N-T, means um, the who is the mother. So Rebecca bint Bethul, I think that means that Rebecca bint Bethul is the was the mother of, right? So the mother Bethul was the mother who produced Rebecca. And I'm asking Sister Martha because she has some ideas as far as that's concerned. As a matter of fact, let me just do this here. I don't know what's wrong with me. What am I doing? I got AI. So I'm going to say, what does bint mean?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah,
It means daughter or girl or she, daughter
yeah.
of.
Okay. Thank you. Right. So as a
Alhamdulillah.
standalone word, it means girl. All right. Right. As a standalone or
Mm-hmm.
daughter of, which is interesting.
Assalamu
So,
alaikum.
walaikum assalam. This is interesting because, again, the reason why I'm saying that this is interesting because I'm a little conflicted here because it says that I Abraham wanted to see his son Isaac married. So he sent a trustworthy servant to Haran in Iraq to choose a bride for Isaac. The servant's choice fell upon, oh, I got it. So the servant's choice fell upon Rabika bin Bethuel, who was the daughter of Bethuel, and the father was Nahor. That's who it is. That's so Isaac wind up marrying this person who's Rabika or Rebecca bin Bethuel, the servant's choice. That's where I got it wrong. Okay, the servant's choice. He chose Rebecca bin Bethuel, um, and the father was Nahor. Okay, who was the brother of Abraham. So the who was the brother of Abraham means that the Rebecca bin Bethuel came from the line of Abraham.
Salam alaikum.
Walaikum Assalam.
It is Rebecca. It's Rebecca.
It's Rebecca.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, bro. Okay, Isaac married her. There you go. Isaac married her, and she gave birth to a set of twins, Esau and Jacob. Also, Esau, Al-Is, and Jacob, who later became Yaqub. That's how Jacob can be pronounced as Yaqub. In English, is Jacob. In Arabic, it's Yaqub. So ill feelings developed between the two brothers. Wow. When they grew into manhood, that's usually what happens. That was the same thing that happened with Cain and Abel. I mean, they used to play around when they was younger, and then all of a sudden they become men, and all of a sudden they develop. And that's what happens as far as families are concerned. You play together with just, the women play together with their sisters. The brothers play together with each other. But then soon when they get older, all of a sudden, the whisperer gets to them for various reasons, and then all of a sudden, ill feelings come up. So here it is. Ill feelings developed between the two brothers when they grew into manhood. Esau disliked the fact that Jacob was favored by his father and by Allah with prophethood. Now this is going to be interesting. Esau, who is the oldest, Esau disliked the fact that Jacob was favored by his father and by Allah with prophethood. So why would he say that he was favored by Allah with prophethood? That means that there was some kind of qualities and characteristics that developed in Jacob that wasn't developed in Esau. So Esau was pissed off was because I'm the oldest son. I'm supposed to automatically get the blessing. But he probably had rough characteristics, maybe a bad temperament to be a prophet. Whereas Esau was, a little smoother, a little cooler, a little more intellectual, a little more spiritual. He just had the qualities. So the father Isaac was like, which one should I choose? Ask Allah, well, who should I choose? And Allah inspired him, to say, well, listen, don't give it to Esau because, he's not. Give it to Jacob because he has the qualities and characteristics. And that's why it probably says, I'm just going with it. And I could do that. Esau disliked the fact that Jacob was favored by his father and by Allah with prophethood. So that's how that could come about. This ill feeling became so serious that Esau threatened to kill his brother. So there you go. Where's the love? Where's the love? Where's the love? Where's the love? So fearing for his life, Jacob fled the country. That's how serious it was. And we're going to find out a little later. We're going to get more into detail. And see, this is something that the Quran doesn't go into it like that. It just says, the Quran just says that the prophets are Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, and Jacob. That's how it does it. It just goes right past Esau. It just goes right past him. So it says when we read the Quran, we know that the prophets are Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, and Jacob, and then it goes down the line. Um, and that I remember that because the way that it flows, Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, and Jacob, as far as being the prophets is concerned. So that's why I remember it like that. I just like the sound of it. And so it's easy to remember. Uh, so what winds up happening is again, so Isaac marries Rebecca ben Bethuel, okay? Rebecca gives him two sons, Esau and Jacob. Ill feelings developed between the two brothers when they grew into manhood. Esau disliked the fact that Jacob was favored by his father and by Allah for prophethood. Esau wasn't, didn't have the characteristics for it. He just was like, yo, I want to be. See, in his situation was, look, I'm the oldest son, I should get it. That's what it was. I'm the oldest son, I should get it. Why are you giving it to him? But the father had to make that decision. They had to make that decision inspired by Allah. And come to find out, he did make the right decision. So this ill feeling was so deep in Esau that he threatened to kill his brother, Jacob or Yaqub, to the point where Jacob had to leave the country because that's how much he feared for his life. So let us continue. Isaac's sons from the people of the book. The people of the book said that when Isaac was 40 years old, he married Rebecca ben Bethuel during his father's life. They said he was sterile. They said she was sterile. So Isaac prayed to Allah and then she became pregnant. So Rebecca was sterile. Please put your phone on mute or your computer. So Rebecca ben Bethuel, during his father, the people of the book said that when Isaac was 40 years old, he married Rebecca ben Bethuel during his father's life. They said she was sterile. So Isaac prayed to Allah and then she became pregnant. She gave birth to twin boys. The first one was called Esau, whom the Arabs call Al-Is. He became the father of Rum, R-U-M. The second one was called Jacob, which means Israel, belonging to the people of Israel. So Isaac's death. Jacob came to his father Isaac and settled with him in the village of Hebron. Okay, so now let's see. Because sometimes in reading the stories of the lives of the prophets, it kind of jumps ahead and then jumps back. So now let's see where we're going with this. But I hope that this information that we've given thus far, kind of, comes together and makes sense. Okay. Jacob came to his father Isaac and settled with him in the village of Hebron, which lies in the land of Canaan, where Abraham had lived. Then Isaac fell ill and died when he was 180 years old. His son Esau and Jacob buried him with his father, Abraham al-Khalil, in a cave, which he had bought. It was said that Abraham died at the age of 175. So they're giving us, this is the kind of information they're giving us about, and it's going to go further too, because they're not really giving the whole story, but I'm just doing the reading right now. But it's going to clear up because, again, so it's basically saying, again, that Jacob came to his father Isaac and settled with him in the village when he lies in the land of Canaan, where Abraham had lived. Then when Isaac fell ill, which Isaac, the father of Esau and Jacob, he died when he was 180 years old. His son Esau and Jacob. So right now, so it's telling us that he fled the country, but he came back to bury his father. Esau and Jacob came back together to bury their father. And they buried him with his father Abraham al-Khalil in a cave which he had bought. It was said that Abraham died at the age of 75. Sister Appreciate Hadi. Yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother William, and to the AM 360 listenership. Yes, this is the priest Abdul Hadi from Flint, Michigan. You know, when you were mentioning that they said it was 180 some years old, I think at one
Yes.
time we
Yes.
seen yeah, they was living a long time, and so you kind of just answered it when you mentioned that they come back to bury their father. So they actually lived that long time,
Yeah.
like really lived. It wasn't just the word that they was responsible to for bringing for giving to the community. It wasn't just the word, it was that they actually did live
Yes.
that
And
long. Okay.
and they had the capability of living that long because the human being hadn't been as creative as they are today with food. They were eating food that was basically the way that Allah made it. Um, the soil was a better soil. It was richer at that time.
Oh,
Uh, yeah,
oh,
yeah. That's how they had the ability to live that long because um, remember we talking about Methuselah, old as Methuselah. Methuselah lived almost 1,000 years. The Quran tells
right.
us. The Quran tells us that what was that prophet? Noah. I think they said Noah lived for 950 years because they say that in the Quran it says Noah lived for 1,000 years minus 50.
Yes,
That's what's quoted in the Quran. So
yes, sir.
950 years because I mean remember Noah was the third prophet, so it's not as many people on the planet. The earth is rich in its resources. It's rich in its resources. The ground is rich. It's not as many people on the earth. With the third prophet Noah, it's not as many. And look how we go from 950 years with Noah, who's the third prophet, and right now we're talking about the sixth and the seventh prophet, and they're only living for 175, 180 years.
Okay, you uh-huh.
You see, so
Yeah.
this is the logic, alhamdulillah, that we have developed, and all praise is due to Allah for the evolutionary uh, uh, that our community has done, where we can now read and figure out these things because of understanding that we got from the Honorable Master Elijah Muhammad and our leader Imam W.D. Muhammad, that gave us this basic foundation which we are building on, and
Mm,
believe me, this foundation of the Honorable Master Elijah Muhammad and Imam W.D. Muhammad has helped to influence the African American here in America. And it's not only the Muslims, it's not only the Muslims that did this, but the whole, and it's not only the black people that have benefited from that. It's everybody that has the whole world has benefited from
mm-hmm.
this evolutionary process that we have gone through as a people. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Allah is the best of planners. So let us continue
And
with this here. Thank you for that question, sister.
thank
Okay.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
So now here it is. We go again. Isaac and Jacob. So fearing that he had to leave the country. The people in the book said Isaac was 40 years old. The people claim that when Isaac grew, and oh, okay. The people of the book claim that when Isaac grew old and his eyes were weakened, he had a desire for food. Okay, this is the story here. You got to hear this one. The people of the book claim that when Isaac grew old and his eyesight was weakened, he had a desire for food. So he asked his son Esau, who's the oldest son, Esau is the oldest son, to go hunting and bring him some cooked game. Esau asked him to bless the food and pray for him. Esau, who was a hunter, went out to get his father the meal. But the mother, Rebekah, overhearing this, ordered her son Jacob, Yaakov, to slaughter 2 goats of his best flock and cook them as his father liked and bring it to him before his brother returned. Ooh, the suspense of it all. So she dressed Jacob. in her brothers, and so she dressed Jacob in his brother's clothes and put goat skin on his arms and neck, for Esau was hairy while Jacob was not. When he approached his father with the food, his father asked, "Who are you?" Jacob answered, "I am your son." So he didn't lie. He didn't lie. He said, "I am your son." When his father finished eating, he prayed for his son to be more blessed, to be the more blessed brother, and to prevail over them and all the people, and for Allah to sustain him and his children. So this is why Esau threatened to kill his brother. We're going to move on. The people of the book say Esau threatened to kill his brother when his father was dead. That's what the way he said, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you when dad dies. I'm gonna kill you when dad dies." They also said that he asked his father to pray for him that Allah make the earth good for his offspring and multiply his sustenance and fruits. This is what they say. Jacob leaves his home from the people of the book. So this is the way that the Bible and the people of the book also means that the Jewish people, the people of the book. The people of the book say Esau threatened to kill his brother when his father was dead. They also said that he asked his father to pray for him and that Allah make the earth good for his offspring and multiply his sustenance. When their mother knew that Esau threatened the brother Jacob, she commanded her son Jacob to go to her brother Laban in the land of Haran and abide with him for a time until his brother's anger had abated. So now, so here it is the mother. Here it is the mother. Let's start with Isaac. So Isaac's old. His eyesight is not good, but he's hungry. And so Esau comes on him and he tells Esau, "Listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go out and I want you to, slaughter some animal, and I want you to make this soup that I like and then bring it to me." So the mother overheard it. Rebecca overheard it. And when she overheard it, she told her son Jacob to slaughter something. And then when they slaughtered it, that what they and then to dress up like he was Esau and then go to the father, because this was with the intent, because the mother didn't want Esau to get the blessing. She wanted Jacob to get the blessing. And so the father not knowing, he said, when Jacob brought the food to the father said, "Who are you?" He didn't lie, but he knew he was being deceptive. He said, "I am your son." And so when the father finished eating the food, he gave him the blessing. And this is why he gave, when I'm talking about he gave him the blessing, he gave Jacob the blessing of prophethood. So this is what really made Esau pissed off. This is the way that the story goes. And I'm just telling, this is the way the story goes from the people of the book. Okay, so when his mother knew that when his mother knew that Esau threatened his brother Jacob, she commanded her son Jacob to go to her brother Laban in the land of Haran and abide there for a time until her brother's anger had abated, and to marry one of Laban's daughters. She told her husband Isaac to command him with the advice and pray for him, and so Isaac did. Woo! Power of a woman. He was old. He was old. Wife had a lot of influence on him. according to the story. This according to the story. He was old, and this is what the story says. The mother knew that Esau threatened her brother Jacob. Now she's the mother of Esau and Jacob. She commanded her son Jacob to go to her brother Laban because she knew that Esau was serious. So, in order to get around that, she said, listen, I want you to go to my brother Laban in the land of Haran and abide there until the time until your brother calms down, basically. And so she told Isaac, listen, I want you to tell Jacob to do it. I want you to tell Jacob to do it because you already given him the blessing. You gave him the blessing. So now what I want you to do, I want you to, it says here, so she told her husband Isaac to command him to go to the brother Laban in the land of Haran. With that advice, and so Isaac prayed for him, and so Jacob did. So Jacob's promise. This is Jacob's promise. Jacob left his family. When night came, he found a place to rest. He took a stone and put it under his head and slept. He dreamed of a ladder from heaven to earth. Angels were ascending and descending, and the Lord addressed him and said to him, I will bless you and your offspring and make this land for you and for those who come after you. So now what's so interesting about this? It wasn't right for the mother to do that, man. It wasn't right. That wasn't right. It wasn't right for Jacob, you know, to, get the blessing. If the oldest one was supposed to get it. But this is how it came about. Now you said, well, maybe it was Shaitan that influenced the mother to that degree. Well, we know now that this was the way that it was supposed to be. So all we can do is say Allah knows. And then again, we have to understand that what we're doing here today on American Muslim 360 is that we're reading stories. This is the way the story is being told by people. Okay, this is the way the story is being told by the people of the book. Okay, the Quran doesn't, tell the story like that. But the stories of the lives of the prophets, listen, Ibn Kathir wasn't there. He wasn't there. So he's taking information that he's gotten. He's taking stories and fables that have been passed on from generation to generation and is giving it to us. And from other people who have written this down. And this is why it's not called the facts of the stories of the lives of the prophet by Ibn Kathir. This is called stories of the lives of the prophets. That's why it's called stories, because these are just things that are passed down. But if we were supposed to look at the situation, knowing that Allah is the beneficent one, the merciful one, Allah is the one that is all-knowing. When we look at that and we see what this situation is with Isaac, with the mother Rebecca, and then we see Esau and we see Jacob, and we see the way that this situation went down, it was like, yo, man, that didn't seem like it was right. That's the way that it seemed to us. That's the way that it seemed. But this is the story. So Jacob left his family. When night came, he found a place to rest, because he's fleeing, right? He's fleeing from his family because, the mother said, listen, you got to leave. And Isaac blessed him, told him, okay, because, the threat. And so he leaves. And so he's traveling to the land of Haran, but he got tired, so he rested. He took a stone and put it under his head and slept. He dreamed of a ladder from heaven to earth. Angels were ascending and descending. The Lord addressed him and said, I will bless you and your offspring and make this land for you and for those who come after you. When he awoke, he felt joyful from what he had seen in his dream and vowed for Allah's sake that if he returned to his family safely, he would build here a temple for Allah the Almighty. He also vowed to give 1/10 of his property for the sake of Allah. He poured oil on the stone so as to recognize it and called the place Bethel, which means house of Allah. It was the locate. It would later become Jerusalem. Okay, you got that? All right. Okay, so it would later become Jerusalem. All right, so now what we do, we go into Jacob's wives. This is from the people of the book, meaning this is the way that the Hebrew people tell it, and this is the way that, of course, so the Hebrew people tell it, so it's also the way that the Christian people tell it, because this is the way that the books, when we talk about the books of the Bible, are supposed to be basically the same as the books of the Torah, or, you know, the books of the Hebrew or the Jewish people is supposed to be the same, okay? So Jacob's wives, the people of the book talking about, this is the way the story is given from the people of the book. The people of the book also said that when Jacob came to his maternal uncle in the land of Haran, his uncle, which was Laban, had 2 daughters. The elder was called Leah, and the younger one, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna go into this. I'm gonna leave this for next week because this is a lot. This is a lot. And I want to section it. So of course, you know, I told you about the story of Ishmael and what that story was all about. So Ishmael was the first son. Again, Ishmael is the first son of Abraham, and Isaac is the second son of Abraham. And so this is when you talk about the Abrahamic faith. When we talk about the Abrahamic faith, we're talking about the faith of Muslims, Christians, and Jews. Christians get all of their information from the Jewish scriptures, from the Jewish books. So when we talk about the people of the book, we're talking about the people who wrote the books. And the books are the books of the Bible. That's what they are. It's also important to understand, I'm sure you do, but I mean, we just have to say it, that Jesus wasn't a Christian. There is a lot of conversation today about Jesus being, you know, a Christian. And it's like, well, we follow Christ. We follow Christ. But if you follow Christ, either you're going to follow that Jesus was a Jew or Jesus was a Muslim. But he wasn't a Christian. That's for certain. That Jesus wasn't a Christian. But because of the followers of those who say they follow Jesus, they wanted Jesus to follow the Christ, the Jesus Christ. They wanted them to follow the Christ. And so they named themselves Christians, those who follow Christ. So that's where we get the 3 faiths from. But the Abrahamic faith is really Muslims and Jews. That's what it is. The Christians take their books from the Jewish people. That's where they take their books from. And that's really important for us to understand. To that degree. I mean, you don't have to understand it if you don't want to, because, you know, like, it means, you know, and people will go out and defend it. I know, because you can go online and, you know, there are Muslims that say that Jesus was a Muslim, and they, no, Jesus wasn't a Muslim. No, Jesus wasn't a Muslim. Okay, then Jesus was a Jew. Nah, nah, nah. Well, Jesus was a Jew, but they denied him. Then I mean, they'll come up with all kinds of no disrespect, no disrespect to Christianity to that degree, because there are many Christians that go ahead and do the best that they can, because that's what their forefathers taught them to that degree. And we here in America, we're here in America. So and they say that this is a Judeo-Christian country. No, it's not a Judeo-Christian country. This is a Christian country. I don't know where they got the Judeo, but that's what they say. It's a Judeo-Christian country. But I don't think it was the Jews that was, that established the Constitution. I hear people like George Washington, Alexander Hamilton. I don't hear no Jewish names in all this. I don't hear Thomas Jefferson. I don't hear any Jewish names in that. So it was people who believed in Christianity that established the Constitution of the United States. And not to say that there weren't any Jews in America. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the people that established the Constitution of the United States were people who believed in the Bible and followers of Christ. They followed the books of Christ to that degree. So that's what we're talking about. And like I said again, I don't want to go any further because it really, these stories, the story of Jacob, in the book of Ibn Kathir, really gets into it. It really gets into a complicated situation, and I don't want to start the complication. I don't want to start the complication, and then we have to stop. And so so that's why I said we went that's as far as we're going to go. And so I want you to understand that again, what happened, just to conclude, that Isaac, which is the second son of Abraham, wasn't married, and Abraham wanted him to be married. So Abraham gave the responsibility to one of his trusted servant. He winded up marrying Rebecca. Okay, Rebecca, and he had two children from her, which was Esau and Jacob, or Yaakov. Okay, so it's also important to understand that there was a rift between the two brothers because Esau was the older brother. And even though he was the older brother, he didn't have the characteristic to be a prophet. So he didn't get the blessing from Allah. The blessing was given to the second son, who was Jacob. And the way they tell the story is that Isaac was old and he was going to give, because the story tells us that he was going to give the blessing to Esau. He was going to give it to him. Okay, let me find that part. Okay, the people of the book claim that when Isaac, peace be upon him, grew old and his eyesight had weakened, he had a desire for food. So he asked his son Esau to go hunting and bring him some cooked game. Esau asked him to bless the food and pray for him. Esau, a hunter, went out to get his father the food. So Esau asked him to bless the food and then to pray for him. Esau, a hunter, went out to get his father the meat. Rebecca, overhearing this, ordered her son Jacob to slaughter two goats, the best of the flock, and cook them for the father, and bring it to him before the brother returned. She dressed Jacob in the brother's clothes. You see what I'm saying? So Esau was supposed to get the blessing, and Isaac was going to give him the blessing. That's what it says here. I'm only going by what it says. Esau asked for him to bless the food and to pray for him. Esau, a hunter, went out to get the food. Rebecca overhearing this, ordered her son Jacob to slaughter 2 goats and the best of the flock, cook them for the father alike, and bring it to him before his brother returned. She dressed Jacob in the brother's clothes and put goat skin on his arms. For Esau was hairy when Jacob was not. When he approached his father with the food, his father asked, "Who are you?" Jacob didn't tell a lie, but he he said, "I'm your son," which was the truth. But it was supposed to be. He thought it was supposed to be Esau that he was supposed to be given. So when he said, "I'm your son," he just took it. He felt this, he felt the hair. And so he was deceived. We talk about Isaac was deceived. This is the way the story goes. When he praised his father with the food, talking about Jacob, his father asked, "Who are you?" Jacob answered, "I'm your son." When his father finished eating, he prayed for his son to be the more blessed brother and to prevail over them and all the people, and for Allah to sustain him with his children. So this is saying that that's the kind of power that Isaac had. That's what it's saying. That even though it wasn't right, and even though Isaac intended to give the blessing to Esau, the mere fact that he had the power, some magic power to bless Jacob, even though he was being deceived, that he was being deceived. And that's how he got the blessing. And that's why Esau was pissed off, because the blessing was stolen from him. That's the story from the people of the book. Okay. So that's as far as we're going to go with it. And so it's understood that when Esau found this out, that, the father, he said, "Yo, man, I'm going to kill you. When dad died, it's I'm on." So the mother said, "Listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to Jacob. What I want you to do, I want you to leave us, and I want you to go to my brother, Laban, in the land of Haran. That's until your brother cools down." So that's where we're at with it. Okay. So what's going to happen now, what we're going to do next week, we're going to start talking about Jacob or Yakub, and his relationship, that when he gets to Haran's or Laban's house, what happens. That's next week. That's what we're going to deal with next week. So now I got a couple of minutes left in the program. Let me just say this, that first of all, thank you so very much for listening. We want to also recognize that this is in the United States, this is the Christmas holiday. This is again, this is the holiday that the Christians celebrate, and so we say peace and blessings to our brothers and sisters who are very beneficent and merciful during this time. That they go out and they buy gifts for their people. They go out and buy gifts for their people, and they're this is very peaceful during this time. And so we want to say may our Lord bless them to have a peaceful holiday to this degree, and that they may enjoy their their time of celebration. We'll just leave it like that. Also, just want to let you know that at 10 o'clock on the New Day for Islam Community Radio, we have the Women in Islam. And we encourage you to call 971-379-9162 to get together with our sister Martha Nala Abdullah, our sister Rashida Robinson, sister Amira, sister Quran, sister Deprecia Hadi, and other women that come together, and they have a discussion about the Quran and what it means. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sister Martha Nala Abdullah, and so that she can tell you what else is going on American Muslim 360. Sister Martha?
And welcome to everyone. God's peace be upon you. Yes, this is the day for courtship and marriage at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Manira Habil Umar and Bina Mohammed Beya. They bring to us information on courting and the prerequisites for marriage. You and of course you're open to join us on Zoom here on American Muslim 360. And for those who are joining us by YouTube, you can dial in as well. And the information, you go to CWSC, again, CWSC.us, and all the information is there for your connecting possibilities. And we welcome you to always, while you're on our website, do press that blue donate button. Yes, we are at the end of the 2025 Gregorian calendar year, and we are in the 7th month of the Hijra Islamic calendar, and that is studying the ascension, as William was sharing with us the lives of the stories of the lives of the prophets. We thank you, William. And what we failed to do at the beginning was the disclaimer. Because we're the first show on the hour, thank Allah for this process. Let me share that by my screen. All right, William?
Please.
All right. All right, everyone. And typically we read at the beginning, and we thank you for your patience and your being here with us. AM 360 disclaimer: the content of the American Muslim 360 Broadcasting Network is intended for general information and community services purposes only. Views expressed by hosts or guests are their own and not necessarily the official position of AM 360 or the parent corporation, Community-Wide Shura Conference, Inc., CWSC, or its board of directors. Content is not designed to provide specific and personal medical, financial, legal, counseling, or other professional advice. No liability, explicit or implied, shall extend to our hosts, AM 360 or CWSC. We encourage you to consult an advisor for your specific circumstances. Thank you. Thank you, William.
Thank you.
I intend to see you at 10 a.m.
Amin.
Eastern Standard Time on a new day, community radio, with the rest of the hosts as we are in Surah 3, everyone. Ayat 81 to 91. Am I right? 81 to 91?
81 to 90.
I get it confused. Yes, 81 to 90. Yes. Alhamdulillah. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.